Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your drive time show, The Right Guys. I am Ralph J. Chittams Sr., and of course, sitting with me is none other than
Lonnie Poindexter, and we are broadcasting from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., via SHR Media and the Exceptional Conservative Network.
Yes, we are, and as always, just to let you know our perspective, we are humans by race, Christians by faith, Americans by nationality, and conservatives by choice, because that is the only position that makes any sense at all. And
let me just state that in that rare instance, Ralph, where we might be occasionally wrong, what our listeners need to know is we're still always going to be right.
That's right. We will always be right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to first start off with an apology. Yesterday's show I would just use the term a technological disaster. We moved to a new platform. I thought I knew what I was doing. Clearly, I did not. So I've been playing since yesterday, and I think I've gotten it all figured out. So let me know. Shoot me a text. If you can, go to the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECN chat room on the Exceptional Conservative Show.com. Go into the chat room and we can have a little chat over there as well. But hopefully, Lonnie, they will hear you today. They will hear the ads and everything else. And so I think we're okay.
Amen, brother. And we'll just keep chipping away at it, say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So as we work through the technical issues and continue to move forward, speaking that truth. And we're going to be just fine.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing I wanted to bring our listeners up to speed on, of course, is what is going on with President Trump's cabinet picks. This is just about a bunch of nonsense. But we have made progress. We have gotten 4 of his picks have already been confirmed. John Kelly at Homeland Security, James Mattis, I love that nominee. For defense, Mike Pompeo at the CIA, and Nikki Haley at the United Nations. I literally fell on my knees and then jumped up and down when Nikki Haley was confirmed as the UN ambassador. That's a pick. My 2 favorite picks right now are Nikki Haley and Jim Mattis.
I have to agree with you. It's just certainly, an exciting time. I don't know about you, I have to pinch myself sometimes because we've been fighting this epic battle for the last 8 years nonstop. And for me, it's almost like, okay, somebody pinch me, wake me up from this dream, because could it actually be that a agenda that espouses our worldview, our collective worldview, is actually moving forward, starting from the highest office in the land to these appointments?
Well, absolutely. Well, and before we go any further, in talking about the other nominees, we really I want to stop and talk about, sort of circle into it, Donald Trump's signing of the executive memorandum reinstating the Mexico state policy.
Yes.
And that is so critical that he signed that, but it's also important that he signed it with someone like Nikki Haley now being our UN ambassador. Well, I know but for our listeners, the executive memorandum that he signed, the Mexico City policy, it stops taxpayer funding for groups that perform and promote abortions overseas in foreign countries. So this order ensures that foreign aid will continue to go to healthcare and humanitarian relief, but no U.S. funds will be used to subsidize abortion. And also, organizations that receive this money from the United States agree not only will they not perform abortions, but they will not lobby foreign nations to overturn their pro-life laws.
Amen. Amen. Now, you know, our brothers and sisters in Jamaica have to be jumping up and down, shouting over this announcement. I'm hoping that we can get one or more of them on the show.
Oh, absolutely. And why, Nikki Haley is so critical to this is because the United Nations Human Rights Commission have been working in conjunction with USAID, the Agency for International Development, and our own State Department to strong-arm foreign nations to change their sovereign constitutions to legalize not just abortion but homosexuality under the threat of losing international aid. And so now we have President Trump reinstating the Mexico City policy, which has been the policy under every Republican president since Ronald Reagan. But when Democrats took the White House, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, in the first week that Barack Obama was in the White House, he rescinded that policy so that nations could be strong-armed and they would be forced to promote abortion.
Yes.
So, like I said, what President Trump did with the Mexico City policy, with the confirmation of Nikki Haley at the United Nations, we clearly have people in place with our worldview, and we just need to keep them prayed up so that they can just keep up the good fight. Let me see. As far as other persons, other nominees, Rex Tillerson in state, he's voted out of committee. He's an evangelical Christian, so we have an ally again at the State Department. Ben Carson made it out of committee. He's up for approval. Elaine, he's at HUD, Housing Urban Development. Elaine Cho at Transportation. She was approved by a voice vote out of committee. Wilbur Ross, Commerce. So, the Democrats are making progress slowly. The one that really just has me scratching my head is laughing is Betsy DeVos over at the Department of Education. The Democrats seem to have focused their attentions on her and Jeff Sessions.
Yeah.
And so what the Democrats are doing with Betsy DeVos is they have requested that she answer almost 1,400 questions in writing before they will take up her nomination for a vote. Now, if you consider that under Barack Obama, he had Arnie Duncan and I forget his second education secretary, but the two of them combined only had to answer 109 written questions. 109 combined. But this woman, Democrats want her to answer 1,400.
And see, for our listeners out there, at least if there are any out there that happen to be of a liberal persuasion, or anyone for that matter, this information doesn't make it out through the mainstream media. See, this is stonewalling tactics. The very things they accuse of the right side of the aisle of doing are the very things that they themselves are doing. And so we're just going to put them on blast.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we're going to do.
Right, exactly. I don't ever want to hear a Democrat complain about obstruction ever again. Mm-hmm. If I could, I would go to every Democrat house, take out their dictionary, and just black out that word.
Yes.
But there's still a rack more of nominees that he has to get through. Hopefully they will do the right thing. Put these nominees through the process, vote on them, get them in place, so that we can get to the business of governing the country. Well, I hear the music, so we're coming up on our first commercial breaks. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. We will be right back.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Hi, it's your business diva here, Melanie Collette of Money Talk with Melanie on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., we talk all things money on a global, domestic, and household scale that affects you and your wallet. You don't want to miss it.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, Monday through Fridays, 9 a.m. They told me that I needed to be humble, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I decided to be awesome instead. That's The Willie Lawson Show, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. here on the Exceptional Conservative Network.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon, and you're Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Live on SHR Media.
And on TECN.
Where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
From sports and politics.
To food and entertainment.
To money.
Family.
And anything else in between.
Community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Guys. I am Ralph J. Chittams Sr., sitting here, of course, with none other than...
I'm Lonnie Poindexter, and we are broadcasting live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., via FHR Media and the Exceptional Conservative Network.
Yes, we are. So, just to finish up that brief conversation we were having, President Trump's nominees are moving through the process. Unfortunately, there are still some who are awaiting a hearing. They haven't even been seen yet. But I have no doubts that he's going to get the nominees that he wants, since the Democrats have already set the stage back in 2009 when Harry Reid pulled the nuclear option. So we only need 51 votes for President Trump to get his cabinet picks. And there are 51 Republicans in the Senate. So
it's a beautiful thing just to have that simple majority and come around to bite Harry Reid right in the keister. I want to thank him for it.
And he was told, Harry, the Democrats aren't going to be in charge forever. Are you sure you really want to do this? Yeah. So, and you're right, he got bit in the keister. So
he can take his keister back to Nevada.
he is one person I would love to see. I can't even tell that line. There are a whole lot of people I would love to see drained out of the swamp.
Yes.
But he's definitely on the short list.
Yes, very short list. In fact, there's maybe only one or two other names probably on that list to go. Hey, isn't it interesting that Chuck Schumer seemed to it's reincarnating Harry Reid? I'm starting to dislike him as almost as much as I dislike Harry Reid.
Well, I mean, what they are proving is that they are nothing more than partisan hacks.
Yeah.
And And it doesn't surprise me that Schumer would do that, because he's always been that way somewhat, but he's just decided to go on steroids.
Yeah, he has. And Ralph, are you noticing what I'm seeing? He talks as if he actually has some kind of big stick that he can use to spank and conform us into his particular ideology or direction. I said, man, have you not looked at the House and the Senate? Have you not looked at the Oval Office? Have you not looked at the...
No, well, clearly he hasn't. Clearly he hasn't. Because the House took a vote the other night to defund Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
It passed. So the Democrats need to understand they no longer are in control like they were in the first 2 years of the Obama administration when they had the White House and both houses of Congress. No.
But they still think they are.
Right. No. The Republicans have it. Now it's our turn. And as Obama was quick to tell people when he was in the White House, elections have consequences.
Famous or infamous last words that have come around to haunt him too.
Yeah, yes they do. Oh, there's even more great news coming out of the Trump White House. What is happening this Friday?
Well, it's the March for Life this Friday, brother, and I know you know that well. And it's when the show up here in our nation's capital and march for the unborn. But, brother, I know you got some great news to report in conjunction with that, and that is, drum roll, please.
The drum roll is that it was announced today by Sean Spicer that Kellyanne Conway from the Trump administration will be not just attending, but will be one of the speakers at the rally, the March for Life, but also staffers from the White House will be participating in the March for Life. Now,
you remember the movie Friday, if we can go ethnic and get vernacular here, and the famous scene where Smokey is talking about his dog, which was played by the character Ice Cube, when he won that battle against Devo.
Uh-huh.
If I can quote him, "That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog."
I'm telling you, this
when
is...
you see what's coming from the White House, I cannot hardly believe, and I'm elated that the White House is actually getting behind participating in an event that's been going on for, 40-plus years here in our nation's capital?
This is the 44th March for Life. The 44th March for Life. And for the past 8 years, during the March for Life, what we got from the Obama White House were statements supporting Planned Parenthood and the murder of babies. But this administration is on the right side of this issue. This administration is taking the biblical worldview, and they are participating in the march to protect life. Hallelujah.
Maybe this will get the never-Trumpers out there off their pious post and understand what God has done by maneuvering things so that the crass New Yorker was elected. And as you and I have stated time and again, is an individual who surrounds himself with godly leadership is more than likely to make the right decision. And this is just, I love it, man. I can't wait to get out there. The weather's been pretty good for winter.
Oh,
my rear end off.
The weather out here is ridiculous. I went outside today about 11 o'clock, and it was 44 degrees. I broke out into a sweat. Now, I know for you Southern California boys, 44 isn't exactly balmy, but it felt good.
Yes, Pastor Sylvester left out this morning back for California. He like to froze to death out the first 2 days he was here.
I'm sure he did. But like I said, I am definitely going to be out there on Friday, front and center. I'm sure that you're going to be out there as well, correct?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I'm going to be out there, and I'll be reporting in live into the station. I'm going to have Brother Al cover the show Friday, so that can be mobile, and I'll be calling in to give updates, and I'll see you out there, brother. I'm not going to miss this one.
Well, absolutely. Well, honestly, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get together a coalition of African-American pro-life activists so we can meet up in a centralized location, come down en masse to send the message that our community is not in support of Planned Parenthood and genocide against our own people.
Well, that's great, brother, because I got a message and a phone call from some of the pioneers in the pro-life movement that happen to have the darker paint job. Pastor Brian Walker and his wife Denise from Minnesota and Everlasting Light Ministries, and they are been pro-life warriors for many, many years. Pastor Walter Hoy and many of the other Dr. Althea King will all be here. So if we can find a point to congregate with all of them, it's going to be great, because as I'm sure you know in the past, you can fire a shotgun off into the pro-life march and not hit anybody with black skin.
Right. Well, and truthfully, I want us to come together as a group simply for the visual impact. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't have to do that, but I think it's important from just a visual standpoint that when the news cameras pan the crowd, and hopefully they will, they get to a point where they see nothing but a sea of brown faces. I mean, that would completely change the narrative.
It certainly would.
So like I said, hopefully, and unfortunately, I sent out a call within the faith community here in the District of Columbia, among that infamous group of ministers that I keep telling you about. And I sent something out yesterday morning saying, can those of you who are interested in going to the march, please contact me. I'd like for us to meet at a centralized location so we can come together to walk together, to pray together, to make our presence felt together. And I have not gotten one response from a pastor here in the District of Columbia.
That is truly a telling sign of the state of our nation's capital from a black perspective. As I'm sure you know, the black faces that you will see here Friday will be from black folk from all over the country, but hardly anyone from right here in D.C. proper. And those that you do see from the DMV area certainly will be from Maryland and Virginia. That's a sad commentary, brother. But we got to change that.
Well, what it is, it's a political reality that's turned into a political, demonstration.
Right.
Here in the DMV, this area is owned lock, stock, and barrel by Democrats.
Yes.
So anytime there's anything that occurs that is outside of Democrat orthodoxy, these guys aren't going to show up because they're worried about losing money.
Yep.
What are my tithing members going to say if I show up at a pro-life rally? What am I? I'm going to lose my 501c3 money for my daycare center. So they don't stand on biblical principles because clearly they've stopped putting their trust in God and they have put their trust in the government.
Here it is.
So, so needless to say, when I hang out with the ministers in D.C., I don't have a lot of friends.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. Pastor Sylvester says when he was here with me all week for the inauguration, some other things we're working on, and he says, so brother, who do you associate with? Other ministries here in D.C.? And I just laughed. I said, no, pretty much Pastor Ralph, Kenneth, and a couple other pastors, of which only 2 of them are in D.C. proper. Everybody else is outside. Beltway.
Right, exactly.
I'm like in the middle of a desert. I'm in a lone oasis. Is when he said, well, Pastor Rob, Pastor Rob, he's DC proper, but everybody else is outside the Beltway, so it could get lonely.
Oh no, it definitely gets lonely. I mean, like I said, the pastor of my church, he lives in D.C., but the church itself is actually in Maryland. Again, and the few preachers that will engage me in conversation on these conservative principles, not conservative, but on these biblical principles,
yes,
they all have churches in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of the no, that's not true. I did tell a falsehood. There's one preacher here in D.C. who is completely out front with being pro-life. And as a matter of fact, I spoke with him yesterday because he has these little things that he puts out in social media every once in a while called Frankly Speaking.
Okay.
And I asked him if he would come on. Oh, Lonnie, give shameless plug number one.
Shameless plug number one?
Yep, go ahead, right now.
You can tell I was itching to get it out. Hey, well, you can catch my broadcast on my morning show, which is Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter, and that's on urbanfamilytalk.com, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time frame until 1 p.m. Eastern. And we featured Lion Chasers, men not unlike Pastor Ralph J. Chittams Sr.
Well, the reason why I told you to put in that shameless plug number one is because I spoke with him and asked him if he would agree to come on your show one Monday for your Man School Monday segment from 11 to 12.
Oh, yes.
Because he puts out these, like I said, these things in social media, maybe, once or twice, maybe a little bit more a week, where he says, frankly speaking. And it's frankly speaking because his first name is Frankie. But it's always dealing with relationship issues. And so I've been watching, and he's a good friend of mine. So I've been seeing these, and it just struck me yesterday that he would be a perfect person for you to have on your show one Monday. So
you're holding out here. Who is this individual?
well, his name is Frankie Grayton, and he's the pastor at Edgewood Baptist Church. I'm here in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's pro-life, no question about it, pro-life. But he puts these things out about relationships, what men should do, and why they should do it, and the motivation behind why they should do it. And so I reached out to him and asked him if he would agree to go on your show. Well, he can't do it this Monday. He has some appointments, but he said any other Monday in February, we can work it out, and we can get him on your show for Man School Monday.
Oh, that would be great, man. I look forward to getting him on. Let's make that happen.
See, I'm looking out for it, brother. See that?
Hey, I appreciate you.
But this goes back to the philosophy that you espouse, on Lion Chasers. Don't be the largest ship in the harbor, but be the tide that raises all the ships.
That's it, bro, and that's what we all try to live by. And amazing things happen because we do that. I'm beginning the phone calls are coming in. As the Exceptional Conservative Networks begins to expand. I just got a phone call earlier today from a prolific Facebook and social media blogger who now wants to get in radio, who's got tremendous following, and I say, hey, you need to connect with the Exceptional Conservative Network because the brand is growing and the stable is growing of those who are bold enough to speak the truth. So there's going to be additions, and so I haven't even talked to Ken about it yet, so I'll be reaching out. Hey, Ken, connect with this guy.
Right. No, exactly. Right. And it would have been real easy, for me to scoop him up and put him on the Drive Time show. But considering what he's doing, especially with those frankly speaking,
yes,
blurbs that come out, it's a better fit for him, I think, to be on your Man School Monday segment.
That'd be perfect, man. And the Man School Monday, the whole moniker is building. I get inboxed all the time. When are you going to do another one of those? I really enjoyed it. It seems to be really resonating in the community in general. but in particular with the men.
No, absolutely. Well, not just with the men. Women who have a biblical worldview, they appreciate the fact that there are men who are standing up and saying what men should be.
Yes.
What real manhood is.
Yes.
And, and I don't know a Christian woman who will not voluntarily follow her husband if he is a true godly Christian man.
You're preaching, brother. If he is truly submitted unto our Creator God, I personally think it's a natural attraction for a woman.
Well, it's the natural order of things. That's how God intended it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So when things are in order the way God intended them to be, they're going to flow. They're going to flow naturally. They're going to flow smoothly. And people are going to be attracted to it simply because it works. But it takes brothers like you and my friend Frankie, to stand on that wall and to tell men what real manhood is and what real manhood isn't.
An amazing thing takes place when men challenge men. Men correspondingly thrive from the challenge. You see it happen. There's some dynamic that takes place, and I think you can attribute it to iron sharpening iron as well. But when men are challenged, they might push back a little bit. But when you challenge men, with a godly narrative about what true manhood is, they respond. I think that's why men do so well in the military. I have a nephew who, we couldn't get him to even make up his bed when he was growing up, right? Clean his room. Today he's a military officer, travels all over the world, and the structure and the discipline, but the challenging of other men in authority, challenging him to greatness, he thrives on. Okay, I'll prove it to you. When they challenge him that he's not this and not that, and it's an amazing thing, and I think that's what men need.
Oh no, absolutely, and you're right. It does go back to that biblical verse that says, as iron sharpens iron, so the countenance of a man will sharpen that of his friend.
Yep.
We need to be held accountable one to another.
Mm-hmm.
What people, I'm sure people assume, based upon the banter that you and I, are friends, but what they don't know is that you and I will check each other.
Yep.
In a minute.
And I can't be around men that won't do that. I don't need yes men.
Right. And all the and the names of all the men that we mentioned on the show, the Ken McClantons, the Donovan Larkins, the Sylvester Blands, the Mason Weavers, we check each other. If somebody gets out of pocket, a true story. This guy really got under my skin one day in social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I stepped out of myself and told him to do something to himself that is anatomically not possible.
I think I remember such an occasion.
Okay. Before that day was over, I got a phone call from Pastor Dean Nelson. Before that day was over, bruh, what's up with that?
Yeah.
And all I had to do was say, I was wrong. I stepped out of pocket. I explained why I did it. And his attitude was, you ain't going to do that again, are you? I was like, no, I apologize. I understand, by doing what I did, that was not a true representation of Christ. It was not the true representation of the faith. I embarrassed myself and I embarrassed my God. No, I will not do that again. See, that's the kind of checking that we need.
And my brother, that's the kind of checking that you see evident, in my opinion, because of this principle that you stated
right. Move on. And that's really what I like about this president. Well, ladies and gentlemen, time for another commercial. Please don't go anywhere. Please listen to this message from one of our partners, Pastor Dr. Larkin and Connor Rad, the Protecting Innocence campaign. Don't your way.
Hello, I'm Donovan Larkins, pastor of Spirit of Life Christian Center in Dayton, Ohio. But I'm also the director of Shekinah Ranch and the Shekinah Ranch Protecting Innocence campaign. And today I want to just share with you some of our materials that we've developed so that you too can be part of promoting prevention, education, and safety awareness to youth. We have now our Protecting Innocence t-shirt. It's a powerful marquee or billboard that you can purchase and wear yourself that brings awareness that children need advocacy. It's a powerful, powerful piece. It's simply a picture of that with marquee with some additional wording on it. And you will want to be a part of that. We have posters that any of you pastors, any of you community centers, you may want to obtain some of these posters and post in the recreation center. It would be great to post this in the foyer of your church. It would be awesome for you to post this throughout the schools of your community. Involvement is what's necessary. Involvement is what makes a difference. We know that in order for evil to triumph, all that is necessary is for good men and women to do nothing. And then we have these little marquees. You can order 100 of them, you can order 50 of them, you can pass them around to your family, you can pass them around at a family event or a local event that you're going to be at a festival or something. These are very handy, they're very cost efficient, and they make a powerful statement. They really make an impact. Then we have Protecting Innocence ribbon. And in this package, it's not only just the ribbon, but it also has a message, a safety awareness message, actually a tip. And the tip encourages parents to exercise scrutiny with the relationships that your children are involved with. Today, we see more and more children being victimized by teachers, by coaches, and by other people, other supposedly trusted individuals. We have to prepare our children as we plan for them to be safe. And then you will want to be involved with the overall Protecting Innocence campaign, because we're making plans right now to build a retreat recovery center on our 150-acre campus where Shekinah Ranch is housed. And you can get this brochure. We can email it to you. That way there's no cost associated with it, so that you can learn how you can join our Protecting Innocence teams. We are communicating with people globally, all over the world, that are interested in how together we can protect children from dirty, evil child molesters. We'd love to have you on board. We need your support. We want your prayers, and we welcome your financial contribution. Again, I'm Donovan Larkins, Shekinah Ranch Protecting Innocence campaign. By the way, camps are coming. Call us so that you can register your child. 937-422-6029.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our good friend, Pastor Donovan Larkins at the Shekinah Ranch out in Dayton, Ohio, with his Protecting Innocence campaign. And Brother Lonnie, I know you've been out there and you've been out on his, what is it, his back 120? How many acres are out there?
150 acres, man.
100.
Most of it rural.
You said most of it rural.
I climbed in his, he calls it a gator. It's one of these four-wheel drive golf cart kind of thing. And he's going out to check something or other. So we go by the pond where the catfish farm is going to be, because it's going to have organically grown catfish. And then we passed by the new facility where the organically produced maple syrup will be. In fact, he owes us some bottles. I forgot to bring them back my last trip. And I'm dodging shrubbery and brush and stuff hanging over. He looks like something out of a Duck Dynasty movie or TV show. As we get out to check on and that's when I got a glimpse of how big the property is and the trees and the wooded areas. I mean, God has tremendously blessed that ministry, but the heart and soul of it is, the children that they're there to help. And every summer they have the children come out and they participate with the raising and producing the fish products and so forth. And there's something about being associated with the caring and feeding of animals and all of that has a healing property with children who have been, formerly abused physically or sexually.
Yeah, there is something about, was it animal therapy? I mean, yes. It's just amazing, not just for children who have been abused, but just, for like our military veterans when they come back, just sometimes just being around, a dog, or other animals. It's just something about that. It almost seems to be a type of a spiritual connection that is made among God's creatures and God's creation, where one just instinctively helps the other.
I agree, brother. I agree, and I saw it up close and personal, and there's something that takes place. In fact, it was really funny because Pastor Henry Essick came out, because he lives in the Dayton area, and he drove out, and he's an automotive executive, so he shows up in his beautiful company vehicle and hops out in his high dollar suit and lace up shoes and overcoat. He's dressed to be a city mouse. And he's right out there walking amongst the dirt with the animals and everything else with the rest of them. So
what you're telling me is when I go out to date and leave my gators at home.
Leave the city gators at home. You want boots. It's like, hey, man, your shoes. Oh, I'm not worried about that, because he was just really reveling in what is seen out there, and he had a chance to kind of witness the growth of the ministry.
Right.
And if you guys ever get a chance to catch Pastor Henry Essick, in fact, we need to get him on this show. Google him. He's in my Facebook friends list. I believe yours as well.
Yes, he is.
That brother there, man, he brings a straight A game, and he is really shaking things up within the apostolic faith.
No, absolutely. And this is really funny. We start mentioning names, and our group, the core group of Black evangelical conservatives is really just that small. Mm-hmm. We all basically know each other, and we interact with each other, and we qualify to be called the remnant, because that's just how few of us there are. And I count it a blessing to be in that number with all of you other lion chasers.
You're so right, brother. I mean, you think about it, the number is small, but what's encouraging is, if you know the word, as I'm sure you do, God never moved with a majority. It was always the remnant when you saw God show up and move.
Exactly.
And when I was younger and, let's say, more mature in my Christian walk, that made no sense to me. I mean, God, you're the conqueror of all. You're the big dog. Smite them fools.
Right.
Smoke them. Yet, God would not move, literally, unless there was a remnant that would stand up. I think it has to do with human nature, in that most people don't get involved. Think about this election, November 8th. We had 8 years of you-know-who in office, and he got 8 years, quite frankly, because the first 4 years, when it became evident that he wasn't rolling with our worldview, nobody from the church got off their crusty dusty and showed up at the polls. That's just keeping it honest. You can blame a bad candidate to choose from. You can blame a lot of things, but the church sat on its rear end.
Well, I'm going to be even more blunt. It was race, plain and simple. The reason why he was elected the first time was because he was black, and the reason he was reelected is because he was black. He did absolutely nothing in his first 4 years to warrant reelection. But black people were not going to not vote for him, and white people were afraid to not vote for him because they didn't want to be called bigots.
Well, there it is right there.
So he got 8 years. I mean, clearly Obama was an affirmative action president. He got the job not because he deserved it, not because he earned it, but because of the color of his skin, and that made him an affirmative action president.
Man, that will straight preach right there. I had not thought about that. That's exactly what it was. You know, when I worked in the tech industry, and I was typically the first person with the darker paying job or first of a few, wherever I went over my 20-plus years career there. And the thing that would make me livid, Ralph, is folks with the darker paying job telling me I got those positions because of affirmative action.
Right.
I mean, I lose all my composure. You know, I'm slow to anger. I'd get mad. I'm spitting nails, and I would light them up verbally because it negates the fact of the work that I put in to learn the technologies, the hustle, to do the politicking, whatever I had to do to get the positions that I got. No, I earned those positions. God opened doors, and I straight walked through them. If they're only cracked, I'd kick them over.
Right.
And you mean to tell me that I got that job because I was a token?
But you walked in with the background and the qualifications for those jobs in the tech industry. Barack Obama was a one-term junior senator from Illinois who had spent one term in the Chicago legislature?
Yes.
So one term in the Chicago legislature, one term as a junior senator from the state of Illinois, and he's going to run for president? Come on. And then most of the time when he was in Chicago, he didn't even vote. He wasn't even present for voting. And he had that same track record in the U.S. Senate, and so then he becomes president. No, that was an affirmative action vote. People were so enamored with the concept that in their lifetime they would see the first black president, that black folk ran out and voted for him, the first time some 98%, and white folks didn't want to be considered bigots or racist, and so they voted for him in record numbers as well, simply so that they could go to bed and sleep at night.
Yep. Check off the box. I voted for a black man. Look at me. I am so open and tolerant.
I am so progressive. Right, exactly. But what was funny is the second time he ran, you notice he didn't get that same 98% of the black vote because some folks started waking up.
Yep.
You know, so, but not enough.
Certainly not enough. I think it went down to 94% in his second term. But this term, hey, thank God that, was it 14% of black males and was it 4% of black females went across the aisle or voted for Trump or voted anybody else?
Well, no. Those are the numbers that voted for Trump. For a total election of 8%, which was still, better than what Romney got 6 years ago. I mean, It was nowhere close to the glory days when blacks were voting Republican, going back to Nixon, of course. But at least it's showing that people are waking up. And that's, for me, that's the good sign.
Yeah. I think we can take some credit for that.
Oh, absolutely. We can walk like a boss up G Street.
Up G Street. Only one block, though.
But no, it's funny. I went out. Today I had some running around to do some things to get for the house, and I just instinctively reached for a baseball cap, and I stopped, and I went back and purposely grabbed my "Make America Great Again" baseball cap, and I got it because my attitude is: you are not going to intimidate me or try to scare me into not publicly supporting the President of the United States.
Yes.
Now, if you want to say something to me, you can say something to me. And if I choose to respond to you, then I'll respond. Now, what I hope you don't do is I hope you don't get it twisted and think that you're going to put your hands on it. Because then the mathematics changes.
It changes dramatically.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. We have to take this short break just before the hour, and we'll be right back in just like 2 or 3 minutes. So please do not go away.
Welcome to Lion Chasers, where faith and public policy intersect. And now, your lion chaser and the good fight of faith, Lonnie Poindexter on Urban Family Talk.
We're not saying that there's not instances where there's maybe racial injustice somewhere. This is America, and people are human, and there's sin in the world. He's a president of first. He's the first president to say that America is not a Christian nation any longer. But, we'll pray for our enemies while we defeat them.
You can't blame folks for messing up the city. There has not been an elected Republican in council in Baltimore City in over 50 years.
In the co-captain's chair with me today, Reverend Ralph Chittams.
What's happened is the social justice movement has now been hijacked by a godless movement.
Don't be bamboozled. Ladies and gentlemen, Frederick Douglass was a gun-toting conservative. It's not a black or a white issue. It's a God versus anti-God issue. And I know those would say, well, it's all rigged. It's all a game, Lonnie. Because I get that a lot. And they're the crew that has the bags packed at the train station. Jesus, come back. He'll be here in a minute. Oh, a train went by. Another train went. No, that wasn't Jesus. But he's coming. Meanwhile, Rome is burning. The host of the Black Man Thinking radio show. Welcome to the show, Stanley Levy.
Good morning, Lonnie. How are you?
The core issues, the bull elephants are in the home. We got to do away with the entitlement programs and the things that hamstring us.
And that's where the conservative viewpoints really resonate for my generation.
I'm going to welcome to the show the host of the Exceptional Conservative Show, and that's my brother Kenneth McClinton. Welcome, brother.
Lonnie, it's an honor and privilege always to be with your ever-expanding audience.
Let your listeners be lion chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. If Lion Chasers sounds right for your station or network, contact Will Addison by email, waddison@afa.net. Encourage your listeners to be lion chasers with Lonnie Poindexter and Urban Family Talk.
Hi, it's your business diva here, Melanie Collette of Money Talk with Melanie on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., we talk all things money on a global, domestic, and household scale that affects you and your wallet. You don't want to miss it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your drive time show, The Right Guys, with Ralph J. Chittams Sr. and
Lonnie Poindexter, and we are broadcasting from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., via SHR Media and the Exceptional Conservative Network.
All right. Well, just in the last couple of minutes before the top of the hour, I just want to finish off this conversation about the March for Life. The 44th annual March for Life that this year is going to be supported by the White House. I'm telling you, I am so thrilled. I'm almost speechless.
Same here, man. And that's saying something to be speechless. But we've been fighting this battle so long. I was beginning to wonder if we would see it in our lifetime, And but yet here we are. And I could just, this God that we serve is so awesome. But I've always said this about God. He has weird ways. Because you, and maybe a handful of others saw this coming. I didn't see it coming. I had to have my coattail pulled before I woke up. Oh, okay, wait a minute. I see what God's doing. But God pulled the big bamboozle on the liberal progressive community in America, the anti-God crowd, by picking a candidate that they thought least likely to get elected. I mean, Ralph, do you remember? They gave Trump all that free press because they wanted this epic battle between Trump and Clinton, but they had not even the inclination that he could ever win the thing.
No.
So much so that when he won Florida and then Pennsylvania, and it was obvious he might take everyone. They had no prepared for the event that Trump was elected.
No, absolutely no events at all whatsoever. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on the hour in just a couple of seconds. We will be right back at 5 after the hour with the second hour of The Right Guys. Do not go away.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon, and
I
you're
think so.
Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Live on SHR Media.
And on TECN.
Where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
From sports and politics.
To food and entertainment.
To money.
Family.
And anything else in between.
Community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red. Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network. We have a brand new show on at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. We are bound to make you think. We are bound to make you see things differently. We are bound to push you into action for not only your community, but your country. That's The Willie Lawson Show on the Exceptional Conservative Network, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. See you there.
Welcome to Lion Chasers, where faith and public policy intersect. And now, your lion chaser in the good fight of faith, Lonnie Poindexter on Urban Family Talk.
We're not saying that there's not instances where there's maybe racial injustice somewhere. This is America, and people are human, and there's sin in the world. He's a president of first. He's the first president to say that America is not a Christian nation any longer. But, we'll pray for our enemies while we defeat them.
You can't blame folks for messing up the city. There has not been an elected Republican in council in Baltimore City in like 50 years.
In the co-captain's chair with me today, Reverend Ralph Chittams.
What's happened is the social justice movement has now been hijacked by a godless movement.
Don't be bamboozled. Ladies and gentlemen, Frederick Douglass was a gun-toting conservative. It's not a black or a white issue. It's a God versus anti-God issue. And I know those would say, well, it's all rigged. It's all a game, Lonnie. Can I get that a lot? And they're the crew that has the bags packed at the train station waiting for Jesus to come back. He'll be here in a minute. A train went by. Another train. No, that wasn't Jesus. But he's coming. Meanwhile, Rome is burning. The host of the Black Man Thinking radio show. Welcome to the show, Stanley Levy.
Good morning, Lonnie. How are you?
The core issues, the bull elephants aren't in the home. We got to do away with the entitlement programs and the things that hamstring us.
And that's where the conservative viewpoints really resonate for my generation.
I want to welcome to the show the host of the Exceptional Conservative Show, and that's my brother Kenneth McClinton. Welcome, brother.
Lonnie, it's an honor and privilege always to be with your ever-expanding audience.
Let your listeners be Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. If Lion Chasers sounds right for your station or network, contact Will Addison by email, waddison@afa.net. Encourage your listeners to be Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter and Urban Family Talk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second hour of The Right Guys. I am Ralph J. Chittams Sr., of course, sitting with none other than
Lonnie Poindexter, and we are broadcasting from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., via SHR Media and the Exceptional Conservative Network.
Absolutely, and just as a reminder, we are humans by race, Christians by faith, Americans by nationality, and conservatives by choice, because that is the only position that makes sense at all.
And I got to tell you, Brother Ralph, that if by chance, some minute chance, that we happen to be wrong on a particular topic or issue, please know, ladies and gentlemen, that we're still always going to be right.
All right. I think that about covers it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah. I was, as you know, last week, we spent a lot of time running around doing all the social, niceties, going through the balls and everything else. And I was meeting people, and I was telling them about our radio show. And I was telling them about the tagline that we use, being humans by race, Christians by faith, Americans by nationality, and conservatives by choice. Every time I told someone that tagline, the look of just joy and just awe on their faces was amazing. It was like they had never heard anybody put it together like that before.
Well, it just, the truth resonates, and you and I both know that. And I just want to point something out here, is that, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to be listening, I did participate in some of the inaugural activities here in our nation's capital last week, and I was very proud to be associated with that. But there was a particular ball that I wanted to go to, but I didn't have quite enough juice to make it to that one. But this brother here on the show with me, he went to that ball, and I saw some of the pictures, and I was hating on you and your lovely bride for about 30 seconds there. It should have been me.
Oh,
they looked fabulous.
You're referring to the Freedom Ball, which was one of the official balls of the inaugural calendar, and that was the ball at which President Trump and First Lady Melania made an appearance, and it was a fabulous affair. Now, here's what there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you just don't see. When you go to these balls, understand clearly there are no chairs.
Yep.
So especially for the ladies, when you put on those heels and you go out and you go into these inaugural balls, at the convention center, understand you are going to be on your feet from the moment you get in the security line, for however long that takes to get into the convention center, for the entirety of the evening. I wasn't in heels and my feet were killing me.
Were they throbbing, brother?
Oh man, they were. I was ready to kick them off and just walk around in my socks. That's how bad it was. But it was a fantastic event, and just the joy and the eagerness and the anticipation of people in that room to want to just get their hands dirty with the business of governing, of government, of making America great again, of working together in unity. Black, white, Chinese, gay, straight, everybody was in that room because we have a vision for America, that we want to see America be that shining light that sits at the top of the hill, that attracts all countries and all people to her. And you're right. And there were even, quiet as it's kept, there were some undercover Democrats.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they weren't there simply because it was the party of the year. They know that Barack Obama has done great damage to this country. And there are some Democrats who want to be a part of the team that puts this ship known as America back on course.
Amen, brother.
So, yeah.
I'm just saying that, you and I both, we happen to be of the conservative persuasion, but we do have friends that are on the other side of the aisle, that they are in lockstep with many of the positions we take. They just have not taken the full plunge to step away from the party. I mean, they're referred to, I guess, in the vernacular in political circles as blue dog Democrats. But then you have others that are more center-left that are beginning to wake up to something's not quite right. So they haven't done all their history checking and so forth and lining up their worldview with their biblical worldview, but they're watching. And, isn't that the bigger part of when you think about evangelism, Rob, in that it's not so much what we say, but what we do, because people are observing us. And that has a bigger impact.
Oh, it's all about what we do. I mean, people watch. If you claim to be a Christian, understand very clearly that everybody in your neighborhood knows it, and they're watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And, the same way I got checked when I, stepped out of line and embarrassed Christ publicly and got chastised for it, there are a whole bunch of other folks who know that I'm a Christian, know that I'm a pastor, and they were sitting back waiting for the opportunity to say, see, told you. See, look at him. And he calls himself, he's supposed to be a Christian.
That's what they do.
Right. Now, that doesn't mean, now you and I both know that doesn't mean that we have to be perfect, because we can't be perfect. Mm-hmm. Perfection is impossible, but we do have to be aware that our life is a walking testimony.
Yes.
And more people will see our walk than will ever hear our talk. So, so I snuck in a sermon right there. You see how I did that?
Well, you slipped it in. Well, you do be a preacher, so I know how y'all roll. Hey, we're sitting at the Trump Hotel last night. Me, Pastor Sylvester, Kenneth, and also Miss Melanie Collette. And while we were there, and a gentleman who is a lobbyist. And so for you folks out there who don't know what lobbyists are, these are individuals who work for firms who lobby politicians and lawmakers on issues that are important to the lobbying firm because they represent a constituency back in their home state. So the gentleman came over, introduced himself, and he was lobbying on behalf of military veterans that were disabled.
Uh-huh.
And then he gets into a conversation. Now, he's not understanding quite who he's sitting with, but it turns out that he is more, I won't say he's a liberal, he's more to the center, okay?
Okay.
More to the center of the equation. So he starts into the conversation, and he gets into talking about theological history, Adam and Eve, their children, and the old thing, Cain and Abel, and they got married. Who do they hook up with? Where do these women come from and all that? So I'm watching this take place. And then he begins to espouse some views that are out on that hairy fringe.
Uh-huh.
And you should have seen Pastor Sylvester Bland. His hair prickled up. He turned, his body language changed, and they went at it. It was hilarious, man. I wish I could have filmed it. And but it just goes to show you, people would say that what took place yesterday does not exist. You've got 1, 2, 3... you got 3 conservatives and a middle-of-the-road lobbyist who is black in conversation in a hotel whose name on the front is Trump, President of the United States, of who one side of the aisle says he's a racist and a misogynist, yet we're sitting in there conversing as black Americans in a hotel where the staff, including management, includes black Americans. That's not,
But also, one thing that's funny is he came over there under the assumption that you held his worldview because you held his paint jobs.
Yep.
And he got taught a big lesson, didn't he? I love it when that happens. They need to stop assuming that everybody black is a liberal. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our first commercial break of this segment. Don't go away. The right guys will be right back.
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network. We have a brand new show on at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. We are bound to make you think. We are bound to make you see things differently. We are bound to push you into action for not only your community, but your country. That's The Willie Lawson Show on the Exceptional Conservative Network, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. See you there.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon, and you're
so.
Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Live on SHR Media.
And on TECN.
Where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
From sports and politics.
To food and entertainment.
To money.
Family.
And anything else in between.
Community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Hi, it's your business diva here, Melanie Collette of Money Talk with Melanie on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., we talk all things money on a global, domestic, and household scale that affects you and your wallet. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome to Lion Chasers, where faith and public policy intersect. And now, your Lion Chaser in the good fight of faith, Lonnie Poindexter on Urban Family Talk.
We're not saying that there's not instances where there's maybe racial injustice somewhere. This is America, and people are human, and there's sin in the world. He's a president of first. He's the first president to say that America is not a Christian nation any longer. But, you know, we'll pray for our enemies while we defeat them.
You can't blame folks for messing up the city. There has not been an elected Republican in council in Baltimore City in over 50 years.
In the co-captain's chair with me today, Reverend Ralph Chittams.
What's happened is the social justice movement has now been hijacked by a godless movement.
Don't be bamboozled. Ladies and gentlemen, Frederick Douglass was a gun-toting conservative. It's not a black or a white issue. It's a God versus anti-God issue. Now, I know those would say, well, it's all rigged. It's all a game, Lonnie. Because I get that a lot. And they're the crew that has the bags packed at the train station. Wait for Jesus to come back. He'll be here in a minute. I'm not training nobody. I wasn't Jesus. But he's coming. Meanwhile, Rome is burning. The host of the Black Man Thinking radio show. Welcome to the show, Stanley Levy.
Good morning, Lonnie. How are you?
The core issues, the bull elephants aren't in the home. We got to do away with the entitlement programs and the things that hamstring us.
And that's where the conservative viewpoints really resonate for my generation.
I want to welcome to the show the host of the Exceptional Conservative Show, and that's my brother Kenneth McClinton. Welcome, brother.
Lonnie, it's an honor and privilege always to be with your ever-expanding audience.
Let your listeners be Lion Chasers with Lonnie Poindexter. If Lion Chasers sounds right for your station or network, contact Will Addison by email, waddison@afa.net.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to The Right Guys. I'm Ralph J. Chittams Sr., sitting here with
Lonnie Poindexter, and we are broadcasting from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., via SHR Media and the Exceptional Conservative Network.
Yes. Now, before we went on the air, you said that you read an article or something that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I just was happening to scroll through, people send me stuff all the time, and I discovered this article written in the Washington Post about the plight of a gentleman that resided there and him being literally the fly in the ointment as it relates to political worldview. And let me just read the title. It says, "This is one black Republican reveling in being an elephant in Democratic D.C." And I just love that title.
Yeah.
I read down and I scroll down and I discover it's our very own Ralph J. Chittams Sr. And the article's written by Cortland Malloy, just posted on the 24th. So, ladies and gentlemen, he's not going to toot his own horn. So I'm going to read little excerpts from the article and then get him to comment. It says, "Ralph J. Chittams is something of an anomaly. A Republican in the district where 3 out of 4 registered voters are Democrats. 3 out of 4 registered voters in D.C. are Democrats. He is also among the estimated 14% of African-American men who voted for Donald Trump in the U.S. election." Then he goes on to talk about visiting your home and give a little bit of your background. But what I found intriguing about the article is your ability to kind of get the message out on just what the lay of the land and what the stakes are. You know, it talks about, okay, you guys can pick up his New York accent sometimes when he's tired. But he's a New Yorker from Manhattan. Came to Washington in 1978 to attend Howard University. He was a registered Democrat back then, as we all were, having made the choice because his parents were Democrats. Yeah, same here. I voted for Jimmy Carter. 10 years later, in 1988, he registered as a Republican. So you've been going against the grain since 1988 in this Democrat city, brother.
Yep, since 1988. And Cortland, he asked me the question, well, why did you become a Republican? And my answer to him was that the Democrat Party went so far left that they left me.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, I probably should have never registered as a Democrat in the first place.
Yes.
But, when you're 18 and, in those days you had to, go to the post office, register for the draft and, register to vote. All I knew, because everybody around me was a Democrat, I registered as a Democrat.
Yep.
But, I've always had conservative views. But like I said, in 10 years, in 1988, it's finally that aha moment, the light turns on, and it's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm out of here. And I've been a Republican here in the District of Columbia since 1988.
It's like you've been swimming upstream ever since then.
I'm super salmon.
My own journey started a couple of years after that. I began to have questions, let's say, around 88 or 89. But for me, the switch took place in 1990. I was in business, and I think I shared with you, and me and a childhood friend started a computer company in an area where there's about 1.5% of the population was black, and everybody said we couldn't do it, but we did it anyway, and we had about 20 employees and did about $1 million a year in sales in the technology sector when there was hardly anyone who looked like us who did that type of work.
Mm-hmm.
And then promptly ran afoul with the government, and I spelled that GUBMINT, when we got behind on our payroll taxes, which was our fault. But the nature of business is cyclical. It's feast and famine. You got projects, and you don't have projects.
Right.
So we made arrangements to get caught up, and then they summarily one day decided to go into our business account and just take the money. And we had 20 employees looking at us, asking why their checks bounced when they went to the bank to cash their checks.
And at the time, you didn't even have an answer for them, did you?
Did not have an answer, and I know some of those guys had guns in their trucks.
Right.
I was like, Doug, I'll stand with my back to your back, and we'll fight them off as long as we can, because they were hot.
Well,
so we summarily found out what had happened, and I'll never forget this, Ralph, when we had the meeting with the members of the state of California, and asked them why, when we had made payment arrangements, why they had gone in and taken all the money out of our accounts and left $50 in the business account. And their response was, we made the decision arbitrarily, and it's within our jurisdiction to do so. And so, in other words, you can go pound sand. We did it, that's it. And so we said, if you do that, we can't pay our employees. If we can't pay our employees, they will quit and go find other jobs, and we can't pay you. And Ralph was response, we don't care if you don't pay what we say you owe. We'll come after you personally. We'll come after your business. We'll shut it down. We will take your home, whatever we have to do. That's when I had my epiphany, brother.
Right. That's it. And my epiphany dealt with, an ever-expanding welfare state, a lack of responsibility. A city that had been run by Democrats for years had crime rates that were just running through the roof, a school system that was absolutely abysmal. And then you sit back and you look around and you look for the big bad white man that the community always talks about, and then you realize there is no big bad white man. This is the Democrat Party here in this city, which has been in charge since they were given home rule, that are just completely running and ruining people.
Brother, I had said almost the exact same thing you said. Who's the boogeyman? And I said the boogeyman is not the white man. The boogeyman is a guy with a G on his chest showing up in a Crown Victoria saying, I'm here to help from the government.
Right, exactly. And so literally 10 years after, registering to vote, I became a Republican. And at the time, I was the only Republican in my immediate family.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went way out on the limb. And even to this day, there still aren't many. I come from a huge family. I have, somewhere between 55 and 60 first cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that I could count the number of Republicans on one hand.
And I would say, wait, of that family and extended family, the Republicans you're counting on one hand or in your immediate family, as in children and wife.
Yeah, well, even all my kids aren't, because, truthfully, we raise our children to be independent thinkers.
Yes.
And honestly, I would rather have an independent thinking Democrat than a Kool-Aid drinking Republican living in my house.
Yes.
Because I want you to think about why it is that you're doing what you're doing, why it is you're voting the way that you're voting. Blind allegiance is it's worse for me. I don't want you to do something it's as an involuntary reflex. I don't want that. I want you to think about what it is that you're doing and make a conscious decision. So, so that was a good interview. As a Republican, as a conservative, I'm always worried when I give press interviews. I'm always worried. Because you never know if the reporter is showing up with an agenda or if the reporter is actually going to write a piece that is fair and balanced.
I would have to say, from reading the article, and I posted it on my wall and also on my fan page, that considering Washington Post and its liberal slant, they did an excellent piece. I actually rather enjoyed it. It's obvious that the reporter is of a different worldview, but I think he captured the essence of what you're trying to convey. He did a good for our job, so kudos to the reporter on this.
Courtney Malloy is the reporter's name. He did an excellent job. But, when you talk to people, you start to get a little insight into them. See, he's got a streak of conservative in him.
Mm-hmm.
As any black person does who is our age or older.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be a 55-year-old black man and not have a streak of conservative. I think that's almost impossible to not have a streak of conservative, considering the way we were raised.
If you've got any common sense in you, I would agree.
Right.
You got some folks our age, they like you said, they drink the liberal Kool-Aid, and they they march to that drummer and they don't hear anything else. Hey, let me read something that in the articles I think would be great for our listeners to hear this. This is in a recent essay posted on his website. Chittams wrote, I have been subject to the full panoply of insults from the black community. I have been called all of the following and a few sellout, lapdog, house nigga. He said, my black card has been revoked. And then here's something I thought that was excellent in the article. It says, he said, at a community meeting in the district not long ago, Chittams offered his suggestions for addressing the city's social ills. He said children should have access to whatever kind of schooling that prepares them for the future, meaning school choice. He said churches should become more involved in reducing poverty and crime, and the role of government reduced. More emphasis should be placed on personal responsibility and accountability, he said. About 40 attendees, nearly all black, nodded in agreement. Chittams had, in fact, echoed some long-standing beliefs among many African Americans. But in discussion after the meeting, Chittams came out of the closet, as he put it. He says, I let people know that I was a Republican, he said. Then it was like everything I had said become garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's the mental illness that we have inside of many, communities inside of America. Everything that I said, people agreed with. Yes, we need to have school choice. Yes, the government needs to get out of people's business. Yes, we're paying too much in taxes. Yes, the churches should be more involved. It shouldn't be about making sure the preacher has a new car every year. They should be out helping the poor. And then they find out a Republican had said all of that stuff, and now all of a sudden they want to tell me that I'm full of crap.
Yeah.
But see, they do that to the wrong one, because I backed them right up into a corner. Said, no. You don't get to do that. You agreed with me for the last 2 hours, but now simply because of a party affiliation, you're going to discount everything that I say? And I told him, I said, that says more about you than it does about me.
Yes, it does.
But but this is the kind of stuff that we get in the black community. And I get asked by Democrats and Republicans, how do you engage people in the discussion? And my answer to that is very simply, don't lead in with your party.
Right.
Let's discuss issues. I can't tell you how many people I got to either vote for Donald Trump or not vote for Hillary Clinton based upon her statements regarding abortion should be available up until the day and the moment the child is delivered. These were men I was talking to. And when I said that to them and they looked at me, they're like, she said, what? I said, don't believe me. Look it up. Go look it up for yourself. And then I go back in the barbershop a couple of weeks or a month later and run into some of those dudes. And they were like, my man, you weren't lying. I was like, I don't have to. And those guys, and like I said, now we're talking about men here. We're not talking about women. We're talking about men who understand the evilness of Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry. Men. So if we can start getting men to wake up to righteousness and righteous decisions and righteous living, our community is going to turn around so fast it'll make people's heads spin.
It sure will.
And so, that's part of the reason why I do what I do. I did another interview last week with another newspaper. Now, this newspaper is flat out liberal, flat out progressive, and wants absolutely nothing to do with conservatives. And I also got a fair treatment because I don't lead in with the R, I lead in with the issues. And people, if most people want to believe that they're reasonable. So if you don't give them a reason not to be unreasonable by saying, walking through the door, boom, I'm a Republican and I want to convert you, you have a greater chance of having a discussion if you just stick to the issues.
Yep.
So, I was not going to mention that interview, but like you said you wanted to bring it up, so we brought it up. And I've been getting a lot of attention because of that interview. I had another reporter reach out to me basically saying, man, you know, you're like green M&Ms. You're hard to find. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I can fill a theater with black Republicans. And I offered him, I made the suggestion. I said, would you like to interview a group of black Republicans? I can set it up. And his response to me was, oh, well, maybe not now. No, he says, no, not now. Maybe in a couple of months. Let's see where this Trump thing is going to take us. It's not going to matter. We'll still be Republicans in a couple of months. So, but no, it's honestly, like I said, it's fun to, to do media. It's, fun to do these interviews, but I always go into them with a certain level of fear because I don't know whether or not I'm going to be honestly treated fairly by the media, because especially in DC, there's a liberal bias. So
I would say liberal bias is an understatement.
Yeah. Yep.
Whenever I have any of the clergy that come out to D.C. to visit with me or to have on the show and what have you, I always have to caution them. Understand, this is a liberal city, so be aware of your surroundings, especially when you pipe up and speak on issues that are near and dear to us, because you're more than likely to get someone calling you an F-bomb, or if you get around something, you might throw something at you. And so I had to remind Pastor Sylvester of that very thing, because they're under the assumption that because there was regime change in the Oval Office, that D.C. all of a sudden is going to become this Republican city. And D.C. has not been a Republican city since. Well, Ralph, you would know this better than me. Has it ever?
Since ever. Probably the last time Republicans had any major. Well, I mean, of course, Congress still has oversight, but we're talking about the day-to-day management of the city.
Yeah.
You probably have to go back to the days of the 3 commissioners.
Yeah.
Prior to home rule, to find where Republicans actually had any substantive say in local governance, outside of congressional oversight. So, DC's been run by Democrats exclusively since the 60s.
That's so very true. So I just tell folks when they hear from the West Coast, I say, just think San Francisco, but with the Washington Monument.
Yeah, that's hey. Now you just said a mouthful right there.
Yes, I did.
San Francisco with the Washington Monument.
Yes, phallic symbol.
Oh, see, you said, did you see the image on Facebook of the guy walking around in the flesh-toned penis costume?
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, they're talking about, do we need a male march now in response to the women's march? And this dude was walking around in a phallic costume, 6 feet, flesh-toned.
Well, see, wait a minute. Ralph, you and I both know, me and guys, you don't need much encouragement for guys for abhorrent behavior.
Count me out. I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it, but we know those within our particular side of the species will be showing up in all manner of phallic symbols. The 20-foot high piece, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, but here's the kicker. You know what community would show up hard and heavy? See, there I did it again. I didn't mean to do that. What community would show up and represent in large numbers at such a rally wearing such a costume?
Mm-hmm.
Homosexuals.
Oh God, yeah.
They would. They have more phallic costumes and stuff on than you could even imagine. Look, I've been trying to figure out where all these women went to buy the costumes they wore on Saturday, because I have never seen those costumes anywhere advertised online.
I know. I mean, where do you go? Is there a store?
There has to be a store somewhere. And then when you go in, what do you ask for? I mean, it's almost like requesting a prostitute. Can I have a? It's like, oh, no. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't go away in time for our commercial break. We'll be right back in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. The Right Guys will be right back.
In America, Stackheads Radio, and listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Stackhead Sean and Stackhead Clint. And we're working on restoration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Stackheads Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America. And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Hello, I'm Donovan Larkins, pastor of Spirit of Life Christian Center in Dayton, Ohio. But I'm also the director of Shekinah Ranch and the Shekinah Ranch Protecting Innocence campaign. And today I want to just share with you some of our materials that we've developed so that you too can be part of promoting prevention, education, and safety awareness to youth. We have now our Protecting Innocence t-shirt. It's a powerful marquee or billboard that you can purchase and wear yourself that brings awareness that children need advocacy. It's a powerful, powerful piece. It's simply a picture of that with this marquee here with some additional wording on it. And you will want to be a part of that. We have posters that any of you pastors or any of you community centers, you may want to obtain some of these posters and post in the recreation center. It would be great to post this in the foyer of your church. It would be awesome for you to post this throughout the schools of your community. Involvement is what's necessary. Involvement is what makes a difference. We know that in order for evil to triumph, all that is necessary is for good men and women to do nothing. And then we have these little marquees. You can order 100 of them, you can order 50 of them, and you can pass them around to your family. You can pass them around at a family event or a local event that you're going to be at a festival or something. These are very handy, they're very cost efficient, and they make a powerful statement. They really make an impact. And then we have our Protecting Innocence ribbon. And in this package, it's not only just the ribbon, but it also has a message. A safety awareness message, actually a tip. And the tip encourages parents to exercise scrutiny with the relationships that your children are involved with. Today, we see more and more children being victimized by teachers, by coaches, and by other people, other supposedly trusted individuals. And we have to prepare our children if we plan for them to be safe. And then you will want to be involved with the overall Protecting Innocence campaign, because we're making plans right now to build a retreat recovery center on our 150-acre campus where Shekinah Ranch is housed. And you can get this brochure, we can email it to you. That way there's no cost associated with it, so that you can learn how you can join our Protecting Innocence teams. We are communicating with people globally, all over the world, that are interested in how together we can protect children from dirty, evil child molesters. We love to have you on board. We need your support. We want your prayers, and we welcome your financial contributions. Again, I'm Donovan Larkins, Chicana Ranch Protecting Innocence Campaign. And by the way, camps are coming. So call us so that you can register your child. 937-422-6029. We'll see you later.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Again, please go to the Exceptional Conservative Show website and look for Protecting Innocence. Click the tab and please donate, as Pastor Larkins is really doing a tremendous ministry work out at Dayton, Ohio. So, Brother Lonnie, we're back. This is our final segment. We went off the reservation a minute ago when we started talking about that new march that's being talked about.
Yes.
You know, and during the break, I kept thinking it would really be great if everybody at the march was named Richard.
Okay. Why is that?
Because well, what's the nickname for people named Richard?
Oh.
Oh, that would be so epic, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
Okay. But all right, so one thing I did want to talk about, and we hadn't hit on it, was there's this woman, and I forget her name. There are 6 people running to be the next chairperson of the DNC.
Yes.
And 4 of them are minority, as they say, black or brown, and of course 2 are white. And this white woman who is running, she's from Idaho, I believe, who's running to be the chairperson of the Democrat National Committee, she said that as the chairperson, it is her job to shut white people down and tell them to shut up.
Yeah, I saw that. In reference to what? If they speak up on issues concerning ethnicity? I mean, what's the deal?
If a black person is talking, white people are supposed to take their rightful seat at the back of the bus and shut up and be lectured to.
I'm loving this, Ralph. If there's any white conservative Democrats left at the DNC, they're going to beat me out of the party.
Right, but in what universe? In what universe is this permissible?
In their universe, but see, this speaks to the lunacy of the false doctrine of tolerance and inclusion. Because once you start down that slippery path, you end up with this kind of thing.
Right.
You know?
But let's flip this. Okay, let's say I'm running for chairman of the DNC, and I stand up in a room and say, it would be my job as chairman to tell all these black people that they need to sit down and shut up when a white person is talking. Exactly. Folks will be stunned into silence. But this woman, she gets applause because she said this.
Yeah.
She got applauded. Joy Reid, one of the primary race hustlers on MSNBC, I think was one of the moderators for this. She was just rocking back and forth in her chair like a happy whale, just clapping and laughing and enjoying. And I'm like, what is wrong with these people?
You know what Michael Savage said about liberalism? It's a mental disorder. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm really starting to believe that it is. How is it permissible to tell a group of people that they must sit down and shut up simply based upon the color of their skin?
Well, see, I'm going to take your advice. You had advised me prior on this. And I'd raised a ruckus about Keith Ellison. He said, no, Lonnie, don't say anything. Shh. Let them elect these individuals. To the further implosion of the party, I'm not surprised, Ralph. I mean, it just kind of goes in hand with everything else, man, when you really
mean, it's insane though.
It is. But think of this, and you and I talked about this prior, is the DNC got its fanny kicked in the elections to the tune of a Republican president and with 958 seats that became red.
Since Barack Obama was elected president, nationwide, the Democrat Party has lost over 900 legislative seats from New York to California.
Exactly. And that's my point. So given the shellacking in November, and since he's been in office for 8 years, you would think the first thing they would do is bounce Nancy Pelosi's rear out. But what do? They reaffirmed her.
Right. They double down.
Yep.
Now, people accuse us of being white all the time, so it's not going to take much for us to imagine. But imagine what a white person is thinking. Let's say those white persons in the Rust Belt who flipped and voted for Donald Trump this election cycle.
Yeah.
What are those white people going to think when the chairperson of the DNC stands up and says, all you white people, get to the back of the bus?
Oh, I already know what they're going to think. They crossed the aisle this election and voted for Trump, but they're still, in heart and soul, were probably Democrat. But when they see this, they're going to beat feet out of the party, bro.
Right.
They're either going to go third party or they're going Republican. And it's our job to court them in an efficient way so that they do become members of the Republican Party in a way that we got some work cut out for. Because if we don't, they're going to go third party.
Well, and honestly, look at what Donald Trump right now, he's laying the foundation for this country going forward like no president has in his first 5 days. He has done more to put America first than Barack Obama did in the last 8 years.
Yeah, because he's not concerned about being politically correct.
No.
He's about fixing America.
Well, he's a businessman. He's about action. He's not a politician. He's not about process.
Exactly.
And truthfully, that is where he is going to have his biggest problems.
Yes.
He is going to run into issues with process. Because DC is all about process. He's not a process guy. He's an action guy. You know, he's come in swinging as the president. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, he is going to ensure his reelection.
Yes, I agree.
So I just think the Democrats really they're committing suicide. And all we have to do is just not criticize them too much. You know, say something every once in a while to make them think, that we're a little upset with some of the stuff that they're doing. But for the most part, we just need to leave them the heck alone.
I'm reminded of one of the biblical stories in the Old Testament. Forgive me, I'm going to paraphrase this because you'll be able to probably dial it in. Where as God was working with the Israelites and they're going into battle, and I'll jump to the conclusion, he had the enemy were so confused they ended up fighting amongst themselves. And literally all we had to do is, the Israelites had to do is just stand there, girded up and ready to battle, but God caused confusion amongst the ranks of the enemy, and it sure seems like that's what's taking place within the DNC.
Right. And then all the Israelites had to do literally was just walk onto the battlefield and collect the spoils of war, and they never had to swing a sword.
Yep.
And honestly, the Democrats right now are in such disarray and panic, and just doing and saying just the stupidest. How do you expect to regain the Rust Belt? And these are, men, predominantly men, who have limited education, but through hard work and industry have been able to buy homes, purchase homes, send their kids to college, live a decent life. Now you're talking about shutting down their industry, which is going to completely take them out of the middle class. And now, in addition to that, you're telling them to take a seat in the back of the bus and sit down and shut up. And you expect them to vote for you?
Yeah, but see, they don't consider flyover America important. They don't understand that between the two coasts, that part of America is as real, if not even more real, than the coast that they seem to cater to. You know, you and I both know, you were talking about you took the trip, I believe it was for one of your daughter's graduation, and the different communities you drove through.
Yeah,
that's the real, regular America.
Yeah, we drove from Washington, D.C., we drove to Florence, Alabama, in North Alabama, and then drove the entire length of the state of Alabama from Florence to Mobile.
Yep.
That's real America.
Yep.
You know, and before that, you know, during the election cycle, I spent an inordinate amount of time, as my wife would say, you know, outside of D.C. in flyover America. And from talking to people and interacting with people, that's how I was able to dial in so clearly and directly and make that prediction that I made that Trump was going to win this thing with 300 electoral college votes. Because I was out there in real America, talking to real Americans and outside of the bubbles that we know as urban centers.
And you know what's ironic about that real America you speak of, we as folks with the darker paint jobs have as much, if not more in common with them than the so-called folks that happen to have our paint jobs that we're supposed to be able to walk in lockstep with. Actually, I get along better with real Americans, and I just find it ironic. And they get tickled by it, too, because they paint you in a box as well, and then they look at you like this doesn't compute. I said, well, no, I'm a different type of Negro.
Right. But here's where I would somewhat differ with you. I would say most people who are real Americans want the same things.
Yes.
We want our children to be better and to do better and to have more than we do.
Yes.
We're willing to work for it. We're willing to sacrifice for it. We don't want to have to sit back and wait on the government to give it to us. Get out of our way. Let us earn it. Let us work for it. And that's what America is. So for me, I really, that's why, with the tag that we came up with the show about being humans by race, and then Americans by nationality, that's what we are. Because true Americans, we all want the same thing.
Well, my brother, you're not differing with me at all, because that's exactly what I'm speaking to.
Right.
And so you discover that those are the things that we share in common, and so that's where your brethren are. Those types of ideals, and it doesn't make any difference what paint job you have going across the country. So it's an exciting time, at least for me. I know for you as well. But we do have our work cut out for us, as you had stated prior. In 2 years of the midterms, and we need to know that the weeds are not going to roll over and die. They're going to come back fighting and swinging to try to seize back the victory that we took.
Right, but they can't take it back unless we give it to them.
Here it is, just like Benjamin Franklin said.
And I have no intention. I'm like Patton. I don't believe in fighting for the same ground twice.
There it is.
We got it. We're gonna keep this. We're gonna keep fighting until the last man, and then we're gonna keep fighting from the grave. So that's our America. That's how we see it. Well, Lonnie, guess what time it is?
Yeah, it's that time.
We have come to the end of another show. So, what are your final words for our listeners?
My final words are to be encouraged, but to be ever vigilant. We must fight this good fight until the triumphant return of Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
That's right. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to tune in tomorrow, 4 o'clock, for the right guy, Lonnie Poindexter and Ralph Chittams. We are humans by race, Christians by faith, Americans by nationality, and conservatives by choice. And finish it out, Lonnie. And
don't forget for a chance we happen to usually you need to always know we're still going to be right.
We're always going to be right. God bless you. See you tomorrow afternoon.